Former Vice President Mike Pence is criticizing former President Donald Trump for having dinner with a well-known white supremacist. In an interview with NewsNation, Pence said Trump should apologize. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy and Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell also criticized the meeting. The former president hosted white supremacist Nick Fuentes and the rapper Ye, formerly known as Kanye West, at Mar-a-Lago last week. For more on all this, CBS News political correspondent Caitlin Huey-Burns joins us now. Hi, Caitlin. I know you've been talking to Republicans there on Capitol Hill all day as they return from the Thanksgiving break. I want to ask you about that, but first I want to play what the Republican leaders of the House and Senate had to say about this today. They knew they were going to be asked about it once they got back into town. Let's take a look at how they handled it.
I don't think anybody should be spending any time with Nick Fuentes. He has no place in this Republican Party.
Let me just say that there is no room in the Republican Party for anti-Semitism or white supremacy. And anyone meeting with people advocating that point of view, in my judgment, are highly unlikely to ever be elected President of the United States.
Pretty pointed words there from the Republican leader of the Senate, basically saying he doesn't think that Donald Trump should be president again.
Yeah, pointed indeed, Nancy. And it was striking that he made that statement without being asked to comment. He came to the podium and essentially was suggesting that he wanted to get this out of the way, get on the record, and saying that the party not only condemns this, but also going as far to suggest that he would have a difficult time being elected again if he continues to do this. But it's interesting because you are starting to see some pointed criticisms from Republicans. You mentioned Mike Pence calling on Trump to apologize. Others who are thinking about running for office in 2024 for the presidency and possibly challenging Trump have also weighed in condemning it. But few are willing to call him out by name. And some here on Capitol Hill have focused on Fuentes himself and kind of still a little bit loath to go out and criticize Trump specifically. And that kind of suggests that this is a party still trying to figure itself out, figure out how to win back elections, how to kind of dive out from under Trump, but also at the same time keeping his base of support very much in play. But I think that you are seeing a notable break, even if small, in the form of people like Mike Pence, who have spent the past several years loyal to Trump, at his side, loath to criticize him in any sort of way. Calling on him to apologize shows that, Republicans are, as one senator put it to us today, these kinds of things are essentially a distraction. And it really reminded me of the last few years being up here when Trump would, do something controversial and lawmakers would have to respond, and it got in the way of the messages that they were trying to put forth. That's now even more pronounced as the party is trying to move forward into 2024 after a pretty dismal showing in this year's midterms.
Caitlin, in the minute we have left, you talked about the party wanting to move on, and the RNC has formed this advisory council to help them figure out how to do that. And yet, there are some interesting names on that council, people who have pretty close ties to Donald Trump.
That's exactly right. You have people on that council that have ties to Donald Trump, Kellyanne Conway, for example. You also have people who won elections, but also people who lost elections. Blake Masters is also on that council. He, of course, ran unsuccessfully this term for a Senate in Arizona. In announcing this, he said, kind of put some shots at the Republican Party who, decided not to spend on his behalf. And so what's going to be interesting here is kind of what this reveals about itself. You have the RNC announcing this advisory council looking at strategy heading into 2024. You also have another group that they are tasking to look into what happened in 2022. Remember that autopsy from 2012? This is another way that Republicans are trying to figure out what went wrong and how to fix it going forward. But as the controversy that we just discussed, if that shows anything, that shows that this is an uphill climb, especially with Donald Trump already announcing and making waves.
It'll be interesting to see what that advisory council comes up with. Caitlin Huey-Burns, thanks so much.
Thank you.